Hello, subscribers and random people who see this channel. I've been putting a lot of work into this, and it doesn't seem like it, because the past few days and last week or so has been about, I guess, gaining the next round's material, and it gets better as it goes because you start messing with the photo apps and all that crap. There's a lot you can do on your phone, but there's a lot that you can't do. But what I wanted to do was just catch one up today. Now, I have somebody in my life. It's a friend of mine. It goes all the way back to high school. And it's just strange, the significance of the events that are going on. Because it's like in the background of the spiritual world, there is a warfare going on. Obviously, and in the background of the political theater, and there's another war going on, and it's a spiritual war. And how did it play out here is quite interesting. It's like two people called and asked at the same time if they could come. They needed to use the ability to be able to come here to bounce to the next point. And it was an acceptable thing to say yes. But now both of them, I don't think, coordinated together any of this, but the fact that they have been side by side in their asking has been like that poem that says, back to back they face each other, drew their swords and shot each other. Because it seems to be as though they are back to back from this point of view that I see, that they touch each other. And it's just very strange, because they both represent a sort of force in the world, one being satanic and one being luciferian. Now, why does that matter? Well, it matters because we live in a world, and there's a lot of us that have this DNA that has some strange Rh negative something to it. You know what I mean? We might be these descendants or have a significant portion of this other bloodline in us. And I think correctly, and I think that evidence per my experience would indicate that I'm on the right track. The first one, my friend's mom, came all the way from Georgia. She's got a broken arm, and her combat moves of her military husband had resulted in it. Now, she's smart enough not to just call the cops and do all that stuff to ruin the career and the family that she is in, so pause on that. Now, transfer that over to the other person. Smart enough not to ruin the career that she's in applies to the other one too, because it seems to be some sort of almost hack in the blessings that I think that this place that I'm at with my father allows to go forward, and is an important part because of just the location. I think the location is significant. I think significant locations will always be manned by significant spirits and apt people to bear witness to this. And also, we even had our landlord die. And the fact that the landlord owns this place, and this is one of those places where ghosts cross over at certain times safely, I would say, seems to have played out, at least in my experience, as someone who has to partake in some of the unseen world's things. So, both the Satanist lines and the Luciferian lines, especially more the Satanist, like to scapegoat. Their whole premise of what they do operates on putting the karma upon the scapegoat. Now, one person came here, but their jealousy, I guess the lady in her mind had decided that she had some sort of claim over me or something like that, and already it was something else in her mind, and jealousy and all this other crap was coming up, But the person who I do know is not a narcissist, but very much open and feeling those things, started, back here in my area, saying things from some other. It's a little white girl started talking evil in like a black man's voice and different other voices, very demonic. And why it was demonic was because some of the things she had said were random thoughts that I had had, little representations of points of fear that I didn't pursue myself. Like, there's a pound of meth in the backpack by the door. There's 2 backpacks by the door. Something I had thought. So why would somebody say something like that if it's not a demon? Yeah, shit like that. So, it all comes to full term, and I don't want to continue talking about it. I just want to be able to continue to make content and record this event. But now it involves me having a dog with me daily. And the dog is a friend of mine's, but she's very much was invited for her ability to be a point amongst the town, because she's very career oriented, but very much lacking in the ability to plug in and keep a healthy, happy home, because she just shrugs that off. And then after talking about how upset that it had made me, and was supposed to take this animal with her, and maybe have an opportunity for the guy that she has chosen to bear some of this responsibility of the dog. The dog jumps into my dad's bed last night, pushes the door open. The dog even started growling at me when I'm praying. So, I mean, what is that? Come on. And what did I have to pray? I had to bind the spirit. The girl, like, if you address any of these things, she's gone into, trying to put runes and make enchanted articles of jewelry and stuff. And it really triggered me, because I don't think this person has sufficient knowledge, or, it very much disturbed me. I moved all that stuff out of my area. And it very much came in a way as to be a hack. I don't think she's sufficiently wise. And I said, you know what? I have to bind this spirit, because there appears to be no real feeling there, but a assumption of pretending to feel, And I'm not like an enemy, and I'm not like someone who's trying to possess anyone. You know what I mean? Very much the freedom has violated my own right to be operating in my house the right way, because it's sort of like jammed up in the flow until these things get resolved. But I pray to bind that spirit, the one that is connected to that not feeling, bind all of those enchantments that are placed over all these articles, so that they come to no effect of benefit to that individual, forwards and backwards in time. And I also release the blessing that accompanies the genuine awakeness and awareness of emotions. To simulate that you feel what somebody's feeling is very much an evil thing, and very much part of this machine consciousness shit. And the machine consciousness has very much been able to access certain people, move through them, and then present itself as what it is, and then gesture. I'll make the next video about this event that happened at the HEB. I went to HEB with the lady, and I said, look, I've got some of this Irish in me. I think it's Lugabanda, I think it's Lug, and I think that's Lucifer. And the lady represented the line that I think is Satan. I mean, and it played out, going into HEB. And when the time to be aware was at that moment, I mean, I'll tell it now. So we're walking through there, and I have one of these crystals, and I'm squeezing the shit out of it the whole time, and some other things to protect myself as I go through. The lady that was giving one of those presentations on buying food or whatever is saying, looking mean mugging me. And she's saying, yeah, I got fired from my job at the bar because somebody had slapped a handprint of powdered sugar on me and it looked like cocaine. I mean, over the intercom, nobody noticed none of that. Nobody heard nothing. And I zeroed in, and I got my friend's mom, this Vanessa, to go over there, and she bought some of their stuff. So not only did they, but you could tell that there was something else going on. And at the moment of her being able to witness and see, she's grabbing this necklace and squeezing it that's got the Virgin Mary on it. So I watched her use this thing to blind her own self from having to see things that needed to be seen by someone who was accompanying her firsthand. At the very end of the trip, there was a nice guy checking out, but he was clearly a homo. You could tell in his voice. And at the end, he's like, "Oh, these are for some s'mores," which was significant to me. You know, it was just some long skewer sticks. And then at the very end, he stood to the side and he says, "Watch this," and he washed himself down and he said, "Trash!" And then it was somebody else. It was gone. Whatever that was had followed us through the store, occupied the people that it had access to, and it was gang stalking. That's what it was. Now, I said HEB is definitely under this program, Satan, so it's going to be, and Walmart sort of has the more luciferian version of that. And the next time I went in there to get me and my dad's phone cards, having already had this fucked up experience, I said, I'm going to shoot myself in there like an arrow. And I went straight to the phone card area, and there's this big fat lady that seems to be always in front of me at certain times with her phone completely dismembered. She didn't stay very long in front of me, but the girl that was operating the counter, I said, "Hey, how are you doing?" And she said, "I'm doing all right. How about yourself?" I says, "How do you want to be doing?" And she began to ponder that. And then we made the transaction and all of that. And then I said, "Well, did you decide?" She's like, "What? On how do you want to be doing?" She's like, "No, but that's a great question." And I said, "Well, I got to go. If I don't know, I can't help you." You know, and she's like, "Wow, that's a really good question." And then I left. So my experience was now on an upswing, sort of in the experience. So it shed a lot of light on some of the things going on. So I think that's important. I call it a victory. And had an experience last night with some friends of mine where I think some of this old energy, power, or whatever that belongs to woman and womankind got transferred to the future. And I feel like I partook in that, and I not only feel it, I know it. So I just wanted to share that in this strange rainbow road of a program that I call my show. Have a wonderful day. May you all be blessed. Goodbye.